Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to be here, and such a pleasure to see the kind of work that's being done in the digital humanities. I'm not going to say a lot tonight, but I want to say a few things about the relationship of digital humanities to Judaic studies and the uniqueness of UCSD as the place where the new humanities will happen. Many people feel that there is a crisis in the humanities today, that traditional modes of education have been supplanted by newer cyber technologies. Many people feel that no one is reading books, only screens and iPads. And if any of you have been involved in the teaching of undergraduates, you know that students don't write the way they used to. They don't speak the way they used to. They don't comport themselves in the classroom the way we may imagine that we once did. These are not necessarily changes for the bad, but they are changes. And what this exhibit represents, what this conference represents, and what I think Judaic Studies at UCSD represents, is the way in which we can sustain a traditional approach to the past with contemporary technologies that will lead us to the future. I had the opportunity just before speaking to you to see the remarkable exhibit with Professor Levy. And one of the things that strikes me is not just the content, not just the technology, but how UCSD it really is. This is a campus that was founded with the conviction that science and technology was inseparable from the study and practice of the arts. In the Division of Arts and Humanities, we have been taking the lead in digital and computer-assisted work in the arts, especially in music, in visual arts, and in theatrical design, really for the last 40 years. Some of you may have been part of the celebration for the Arthur C. Clarke Center for the Human Imagination that we opened earlier this month. The kind of work that's being done here dovetails with the work that's being done there and with everything that we do at UCSD. We are, in so many ways, not just looking towards the future, but inventing the future. The thing that strikes me about the way in which Judaic Studies will play a role in this invention of the future is precisely the way in which, as you may have seen in the exhibit, traditional artifactual archaeology comes together with new digital ways of mapping and recreating experience. Tom stood with me with the 3D glasses on as we looked at a world recreated digitally. And that world is something that is not simply recovered from archaeological digs, it's something that's also recovered and restored through computer programming and through elaborate technologies of visualization. Support for Judaic Studies, I want to stress, is not simply support for a defined past, it's a support for an as yet undefined future. Where Judaic Studies is taking the lead and where a conference like this takes the lead is showing that digital technology enables us to study the past more precisely than we had in the past. I know that Professor Prop's own work in biblical exegesis and in editing, in the study of the ancient Hebrew language, this is the kind of work that future generations will be doing with the aid of large databases, the aid of computer-assisted concordances, and with the aid of new philological as well as technological devices. As many of you know, the study of the Hebrew Bible has been a centerpiece, not just of Judaic Studies, but of the humanities at UC San Diego. And just because a text has been edited, or just because a volume has been published, doesn't mean that that work is over. That really is just the beginning. The questions that I would raise then, rhetorical questions now, but I hope questions that will be answered in the course of this conference and also in the course of the next few years, are really the following. What is the place now of the study of the Hebrew Bible and biblical culture in a new university curriculum? What is the role of teaching our undergraduates, not just language, but cultural understanding? What does it mean to take undergraduates and graduate students abroad into the laboratories of archaeological exploration? How can we see undergraduate research as contributing to faculty research? And how, in a demographically changing campus, on a campus whose student body looks, sounds, and is very, very different from a student body of a generation ago, how can we show this student body that the study of the historical Near Eastern past, the study of biblical narrative, the study of Hebrew texts, and the study of the broad Judaic experience, how can we show these students that that study is not just relevant to their own worlds, but is essential to their own worlds? An understanding that the study of the ancient Judaic past is a study of migration. It's a study of exodus, and it's a study of the interrelationships of people of very, very differing languages, visual appearances, indeed, colors and ethnicities. If the theme of exodus has any meaning today, I believe it should be a theme that speaks to our own undergraduates who have lived through their own exodus, whether that exodus is from China or from South Vietnam or from the Pacific Islands or from Africa or from Asia or from Europe. We are all individuals who've lived our exodus. The diasporic experience is the experience of the modern world. And it seems to me that the discipline of Judaic studies can teach these students what it means to live in a diasporic world. Lador v'dor, from generation to generation. This hallmark of Jewish liturgical speech, I think, can be a hallmark of our own teaching and our own research. What I would like to stress then is that we all think about not simply the content of this work in its local sense, not simply what it tells us about the ancient Near East or the Bible or the Exodus as it may have happened, or the worlds of biblical experience. I want to stress what we need to think about is how to teach it and how to make clear that for students today, everyone lives in Exodus, and the study of biblical narrative, much as the study of any other narrative, is the study of exile and belonging. It is truly that sense of belonging that I want to stress as I welcome you to this event, and that I want to stress as I thank Tom and Bill and all members of the Judaic Studies community, and as a representative here of the administration of UCSD, to welcome you into this broader sense now of belonging, not simply because we are sitting in a room together, but because we are really part of a larger digital community. Our diasporas will no longer be geographical, they may actually be virtual. And in the end, that will be what brings us home. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy this evening.